Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. You know we love diving deep into thought-provoking topics, and today we're exploring something that I think a lot of you are probably curious about. Pets in nursing homes and assisted living facilities.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
It is, right. And actually, it was one of you who sent this in, so thank you for that. We have this article, The Healing Power of Pets, from Shift Fuel's blog,
Okay.
published January 18th, 2025.
This year.
Yeah, this year. And it's really got us thinking, like, could integrating animals into these environments actually be a game changer for residents?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I think the article, like right off the bat, it kind of jumps into this almost intuitive sense that animals have about human emotions, especially dogs and cats, right?
Yeah, like they just know when you need a cuddle or like a little nudge.
Exactly.
And I've definitely felt that with my own pets. Like you can just kind of tell. But the article goes beyond those heartwarming anecdotes.
Great.
It delves into the science behind it.
Exactly. It's not just like sentimentality, right?
Right.
Animals are so perceptive
Yeah.
to even the subtlest cues that we give off.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. They can sense shifts in our body language, our tone of voice, even like changes in our body chemistry that we might not even be aware of.
So they're picking up on things we're not even expressing.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is.
Yeah.
And you'll find in the article, for example, dogs like have an incredible sense of smell.
Right.
They can actually detect changes in our hormones that are related to stress or illness.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they have this built-in radar
Yeah.
for our emotional and physical states.
Wow, that makes their impact go way beyond just being a companion.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you'll find the article actually highlights a whole range of these benefits, like reducing feelings of isolation and depression, lowering blood pressure and heart rate, even boosting physical activity through play.
There's a quote that really stood out to me. It says, "Pets act as catalysts for social interaction, providing a shared point of interest in conversation." Oh, yeah.
It seems like they could really break down those barriers that sometimes exist.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I think one of the things that the article also points out that's really interesting is the cognitive benefits, particularly for residents dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's.
I was really struck by that. The article saying that interacting with animals can improve cognitive function and memory recall in those individuals.
Yeah.
It almost seems too good to be true.
It might sound unbelievable, but there's actually research to back it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, studies in the Journal of Psychiatric Research and the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry have actually demonstrated these positive effects of animal therapy on older adults, especially those with cognitive decline.
So how does that even work? Like, what's the science behind those cognitive benefits?
Well, the research suggests that interacting with animals actually triggers specific responses in the brain.
Right.
For example, like petting a dog or even watching fish swim in an aquarium can lead to increased alertness and engagement in dementia patients. Huh.
So it seems to tap into something very primal and soothing, even when other cognitive functions are declining.
Wow, that's incredible. It makes you kind of wonder about the untapped potential of animal therapy in these settings.
It really does.
Yeah.
And, beyond even like the physiological and cognitive benefits, the article even suggests that caring for a pet, even in small ways, can provide this renewed sense of purpose and responsibility, which can be so crucial for, overall well-being.
That makes perfect sense. Having something to care for and look after, gives you a reason to get up in the morning. But I imagine there are practical considerations that come along with actually making this work
Right.
in a long-term care facility.
You're absolutely right. And actually, the article does a great job of outlining some of the key steps involved in actually creating a pet-friendly haven.
Okay.
For example, it emphasizes the importance of selecting calm, well-trained, and sociable animals. You wouldn't want a hyperactive husky running wild in a nursing home.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I bet hygiene is a major concern as well.
Oh, for sure. It's crucial. The article stresses the need for rigorous cleaning protocols, regular vet care, and, of course, managing allergies or fears.
So it's not just like bring in a bunch of puppies and kittens. It requires a much more thoughtful and structured approach.
Exactly. And the article is very clear that resident involvement is key. It advocates for encouraging residents to actually participate in pet care, even in small ways, to really foster that sense of connection and responsibility.
That sounds great. And, the article mentions a couple of heartwarming examples that really illustrate this idea
Oh, yeah.
in action.
You mean Oscar the cat and Hope the dog?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oscar was known for sensing when residents were nearing the end of life.
Right.
And providing comfort and companionship during that time. And then Hope has become like this beloved family member at her nursing home,
Yeah.
bringing joy and laughter to everyone she encounters.
Those stories really touched me. They speak to, like, the unique and really profound bond between humans and animals.
They do. And for you, do those stories resonate with your own experiences? Have you witnessed those types of connections in your work?
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen firsthand how the presence of animals can, like, totally transform the atmosphere of a care facility. It's like a wave of calm just washes over the place. People who were withdrawn, they come out of their shells, conversations spark up, and smiles become contagious.
It's pretty amazing to think something so simple as the presence of an animal can have such a profound impact.
It really is.
And I'm sure you've seen some pretty incredible things.
Oh, I have. And one story that always comes to mind involves a woman named Mrs. Jones, and she had been struggling with severe depression.
Oh, wow.
She barely spoke, rarely left her room.
Oh, that's sad.
It was really sad.
Yeah.
And she just seemed to have lost all interest in life.
Right.
But then one day, a therapy dog named Buddy was brought in for a visit.
Okay.
And something incredible happened.
I'm on the edge of my seat. What happened?
Buddy, true to his name, he immediately made a beeline for Mrs. Jones. He snuggled up beside her on the bed and just sat there quietly,
Oh,
as if he knew exactly what she needed.
that's so sweet.
And then slowly,
Oh.
almost imperceptibly at first,
Yeah.
Mrs. Jones began to stroke Buddy's fur.
Oh.
And a smile, the first I'd seen from her in months, spread across her face.
Oh, wow. That gives me chills.
It was really something.
Yeah.
It's a testament to that human-animal connection, you know,
Yeah.
that unspoken language that can reach people in ways that words sometimes can't.
So did Mrs. Jones continue to interact with Buddy?
She did.
Okay.
Buddy became a regular visitor,
Ah.
and with each visit,
Yeah.
Mrs. Jones became more engaged.
Oh, wow.
She'd started talking about Buddy to the staff.
Okay.
She would look forward to his visits.
Ah.
And eventually she even started joining the group activities in the common area,
Wow, that's great.
often with Buddy by her side.
It sounds like Buddy was a real turning point for her.
He was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Buddy. You know,
Yeah.
I've seen similar transformations happen time and again with, different animals and different residents.
All right.
It's like they unlock something within us,
Yeah. Yeah.
reminding us of our capacity for joy, connection, and love.
As you're talking about this, it makes me wonder if these benefits extend, like, beyond just the residents.
Yeah.
Like, could the staff also experience some of these positive effects from having animals around?
That's a really great point. And actually, the article does kind of hint at this idea.
Okay.
It mentions that staff in facilities with resident animals often report feeling less stressed and more fulfilled in their work.
That makes sense.
Right. Who wouldn't want a furry coworker
Oh,
to brighten their day, right?
right. And it's not just, a quick cuddle break.
Right.
If we think back to what we were talking about earlier about how animals can sense stress, they could actually be playing a role in creating a calmer, more positive environment for everyone.
Exactly. And there's actually research to support that.
Oh, well.
Studies have shown that the presence of animals in workplaces can reduce those stress hormones, increase job satisfaction, and even boost productivity.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
It really is.
And what about families and friends who are visiting their loved ones?
Wow, yeah.
In these facilities, I imagine having, an animal around could make those visits more meaningful.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like, instead of walking into this sterile clinical environment,
Right.
you're greeted by, like, a friendly dog wagging its tail.
Right.
It instantly changes the whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
It makes it feel more like a home.
It's like adding that extra layer of warmth,
Right. Right.
to the visit.
Exactly.
And it makes me think, too, about the intergenerational aspect. Like, I bet kids would love having animals around when they visit their grandparents.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Children have, like, this natural affinity for animals.
Right.
So those visits would be so much more fun and engaging with, like, a playful dog or a cuddly cat.
It could help bridge that generational gap,
For sure.
create some memories.
Exactly. And those interactions can go, even beyond just that immediate moment.
Right.
Imagine a child, like, reading to a therapy dog
Oh.
or helping their grandparent brush a cat's fur.
Okay.
It just creates opportunities for bonding, learning, building empathy.
You're really painting this heartwarming picture. But, before we get too carried away, I think it's important to kind of circle back to something the article touched on, these incredible stories of animals being able to sense when residents are nearing the end of their lives.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a fascinating
Oh, yeah.
and somewhat mysterious phenomenon.
It really is, and it's something that has been observed and documented
Right.
across cultures and throughout history.
Yeah.
We've all heard those stories of, like, beloved pets
Right.
who seem to know when their human companions are approaching their final moments.
It's like they have a sixth sense or something,
Yeah.
an intuition that we don't quite understand.
Yeah, it's almost like an intuitive understanding that goes beyond, like, our human comprehension.
Right. Is there any, like, science behind that?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely an area that needs further research.
Right.
But there are some intriguing theories out there.
Okay.
For instance, some scientists believe that animals might be able to detect subtle physiological changes in dying individuals that humans just simply can't perceive.
What kind of changes?
Well, some research suggests that dying cells actually release certain chemicals
Mhm.
that animals with their heightened senses might be able to smell.
Okay.
So think about it. Dogs have a sense of smell that's thousands of times more sensitive than ours.
Right.
It's possible they're picking up on scents that we're totally oblivious to.
That's incredible. So even without a definitive scientific explanation, I mean, those stories are so powerful and moving.
They are.
They really suggest a depth of connection that
Yeah.
we may never fully understand.
I agree, and they highlight, the potential for animals to provide comfort and companionship
Right.
during those life's most vulnerable moments,
Right.
even in ways that we may not fully comprehend.
Right.
You know?
Speaking of comfort and companionship, the article also highlighted Hope, the dog who actually lives in a nursing home
Right.
and is considered, like a family member to these residents. It
Yeah.
seems like she just, embodies all these positive aspects we've been discussing.
Hope's story is a beautiful example of, like, the joy and sense of purpose that animals can bring into these environments.
Yeah.
It's this reminder that even in the later stages of life, we all crave that connection, that love, that sense of belonging.
And it makes me wonder, too, if there's something like particularly unique about the bond between older adults and animals.
I think there is this beautiful synergy there.
Yeah.
Older adults often have more time to devote to caring for a pet.
Right.
And they may have a greater appreciation for those simple pleasures of
Yeah.
companionship
Right.
and unconditional love.
Right. It's like a mutually beneficial relationship
Right.
where both the human and the animal are thriving.
Exactly.
But I think it's important to acknowledge, even with all these heartwarming stories,
Yeah.
that there are valid concerns,
Of course.
about bringing pets into these facilities.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's essential to approach this with a balanced perspective and to address those concerns head on.
Right.
Responsible pet ownership is paramount in any setting,
Yeah.
but especially in a sensitive environment like a nursing home.
For sure. And the article briefly mentioned, some practical considerations like selecting appropriate animals, ensuring good hygiene, managing allergies or fears. But what other potential challenges do you think we need to be mindful of?
One that immediately comes to mind is ensuring that the animals themselves
Right.
are well cared for and not overwhelmed by the environment.
That's a good point.
It's easy to get, caught up in the benefits for the residents.
Right.
But we can't forget that these animals are sentient beings
Right.
with their own needs and sensitivities.
It's about making it a positive experience for everyone
Exactly.
involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that the animals have adequate space to roam,
Right.
opportunities for play and socialization,
Right.
and of course regular veterinary care.
Yeah.
And just as importantly, they need a quiet space
Okay.
where they can retreat and de-stress when they need a break
That makes sense.
from all the activity.
So it's about that balance,
Right.
between those enriching experiences and respecting their boundaries.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And another challenge we need to consider is the residents' capabilities.
Hmm.
While some residents might be eager to participate in pet care,
Yeah.
others may not have the physical or cognitive ability to do so.
Right.
So it's crucial to have a system in place
Right.
to ensure that those animals' needs are consistently met,
Right.
regardless of the residents' level of involvement.
I imagine that's where staff and volunteers could play a role.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine like a network of dedicated volunteers
Okay.
who could assist with walking, grooming, socializing the animals,
Yeah.
freeing up staff to focus on other aspects
Right.
of resident care.
That's great.
It's a wonderful way to engage the community.
Right.
Create that sense of shared responsibility
Yeah.
for the well-being of both the residents and the animals.
That's such a great idea. And it could also be, a great opportunity for intergenerational interaction, bringing together, the younger and older generations through that shared love of animals.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's all about, building bridges and creating a more inclusive and compassionate community.
I'm really starting to see how this could be like a transformative initiative on
Oh,
so many levels.
it is.
But realistically, do you think this is something that could be like widespread in the near future?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
I think we're seeing, a growing body of evidence
Right.
supporting these benefits
Right.
of animal-assisted interventions.
Yeah.
And more care facilities are embracing these pet-friendly policies.
Okay.
But as with any kind of paradigm shift,
Right.
it takes time, it takes education, it takes a willingness to challenge those traditional ways of thinking.
So how do we advocate for this change?
I think it starts with raising awareness.
Okay.
We need to share those heartwarming stories,
Right.
highlight that scientific evidence,
Yeah.
and challenge any misconceptions or fears
Yeah.
that people might have
Right.
about, the risks involved.
Right.
And on a practical level, we can support organizations
Right.
that promote animal-assisted therapy, advocate for pet-friendly policies in our communities,
Okay.
and volunteer our time
Yeah.
at local care facilities.
Those are all great ideas. And, even small acts of kindness can make a difference.
Well, absolutely.
Like if you have a well-behaved pet,
Yeah.
consider reaching out to a local nursing home or
Excellent.
assisted living facility to see if they welcome pet visits.
Exactly.
You never know.
You might just brighten someone's day.
Right, in ways you can't even imagine.
It's those seemingly small gestures
Right.
that can have a ripple effect,
Yeah.
creating a more compassionate and connected world.
Well said. Well, we've reached the end of part 2
already.
of our deep dive
What?
into this world of pets in long-term care.
I can't believe it.
But don't worry.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. We'll be back soon with part 3, where we'll delve into some more nuanced and practical considerations of making this vision a reality.
I can't wait.
Until then, keep those tails wagging and those purrs rumbling.
Okay.
And we are back for part 3 of our deep dive into pets in long-term care. So we've uncovered all these wonderful benefits of having animals around.
Yeah.
But, there's always a flip side to things, right? So
Yeah.
now we're going to delve into the practical side of things a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, bringing animals into these environments, while potentially really transformative, does require careful consideration and planning.
Yeah, you can't just, bring in a couple puppies and hope for the best.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's dive into some of those practicalities. What are some key challenges that we need to address to make this work effectively and safely for everybody involved?
Okay, well, one of the first things that comes to mind, and actually the article does touch on this briefly, is allergies.
Right.
A significant portion of the population has some degree of animal allergy.
Right.
And in a closed environment like a nursing home, even mild allergies can become problematic.
That's a really good point, especially because a lot of residents might have compromised immune systems or respiratory issues.
Exactly.
So how do you create like a pet-friendly environment that safeguards those who have allergies?
Well, that's where careful planning comes in. The article suggests several strategies, starting with selecting hypoallergenic breeds whenever possible.
Okay.
There are certain breeds of dogs and cats that produce fewer allergens, so they're, better suited for this type of setting.
Okay, but even with those breeds, there's still a chance of allergens, right?
Right, absolutely. So the article really emphasizes the need for those additional measures,
Okay.
like designated pet-free zones within the facility,
Okay.
regular deep cleaning, air filtration systems,
Yeah.
and of course, just clear communication with residents and staff about allergy management.
It sounds like it's really multifaceted.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's not just about the animals, but about creating an environment where everyone can coexist comfortably.
Exactly. And speaking of creating a comfortable environment, hygiene is another crucial aspect. We all love our pets,
Oh, for sure.
but they can be a bit messy sometimes.
Oh, a bit, yeah.
We can all relate to that, I think. So how do you ensure that high level of hygiene in a healthcare setting where cleanliness is paramount?
Well, the article really stresses the importance of regular grooming for the animals. Brushing, bathing, keeping those nails trimmed can help to really minimize shedding and dander. And of course, frequent hand washing for both residents and staff is absolutely essential.
Right. But what about those, accidents?
Yeah.
They're bound to happen.
Accidents are inevitable, even with the best behaved pets. So having those designated pet relief areas, either indoors or outdoors, is crucial.
Okay.
And staff need to be trained, in proper cleaning and disinfection procedures to prevent the spread of germs.
So staff training really seems to be a key aspect of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beyond hygiene, staff needs to be educated on animal behavior safety guidelines and how to facilitate positive interactions between residents and pests.
Right.
So they're essentially, becoming ambassadors for both the animals and the residents,
Right.
ensuring everyone's well-being.
And you mentioned those safety guidelines, and that kind of brings up another question that I had. How do you mitigate the risk of injuries?
Right.
Because even the best behaved animals can be unpredictable at times. So how do you minimize, the risk of bites, scratches, falls?
Well, it all starts with careful animal selection. The article recommends choosing animals that are, specifically trained for therapy work.
Right.
So they're known for their calm and gentle temperaments. It's not just about, finding a cute dog or cat.
Yeah.
It's about finding an animal that's really well suited for this unique environment.
And monitoring is just as important, I imagine, as that selection. Right.
Absolutely. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Staff needs to be trained to, recognize signs of stress or agitation in the animals and to intervene appropriately. The goal is to prevent any situations that could escalate and compromise anyone's safety.
So it's about being, proactive and creating that environment that's safe.
Exactly.
For both the animals and the residents.
Exactly. And that includes, setting clear boundaries and expectations for those interactions as well.
Okay.
For example, residents might need to be reminded not to approach an animal while it's eating or sleeping.
Right.
And, children visiting the facility should be, supervised around the animals.
Those are all really great reminders. I think it's easy to forget that you're integrating living beings into a new environment, and that comes with a lot of responsibility and vigilance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about those practicalities. We also need to be mindful of the ethical considerations. The article mentions that ensuring the animal's well-being should be a top priority. And it's easy to get caught up in those potential benefits for the humans. But we can't forget that these animals are sentient beings with their own needs and feelings.
Absolutely. So what are some steps, to ensure that those animals aren't being overstimulated or overwhelmed by this new environment?
Well, the article emphasizes the importance of regular vet checkups, of course.
Right.
A balanced diet and plenty of rest for the animals.
Yeah.
It's also essential that they have those opportunities, for exercise and play.
Right. Yeah.
Outlets for their natural instincts and their energy. And just as importantly, they need a safe haven. They need a quiet space where they can retreat.
Yeah.
When they need that downtime.
It's about recognizing that these animals are individuals deserving of that respect.
Exactly.
And care, right.
Exactly. It's about creating like a genuinely symbiotic relationship where everyone benefits.
That's a great way to put it. I think this deep dive has really highlighted that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We've explored this potential, delved into the research and the science, and now really grappled with those practicalities and ethical considerations, right?
We have. And I hope it's, given our listener a more comprehensive understanding of this topic.
Definitely.
Which is both complex, but ultimately really inspiring.
Yeah, it's clear that this is not a decision to be taken lightly.
Right.
It requires that planning, ongoing monitoring, and that genuine commitment to the well-being of both the animals and the residents.
But with those elements in place,
the
potential for positive transformation is truly remarkable.
It is. It's really a testament to that healing power of the human-animal bond.
It really is.
Well, to our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thank you.
We hope you found it insightful and thought-provoking, and we encourage you to keep exploring this topic and to ask those questions and to share your own experiences and insights.
Absolutely.
And maybe even consider, if you feel inspired, how you might contribute to making this vision a reality.
Sure.
Until next time, keep those paws crossed and those tails wagging.
I will.